In one small town in Nigeria, something impossible happens. Almost every family has twins, not occasionally, not as a coincidence, but as a statistical impossibility. The global average for twin births is 12 per thousand, but in Igbo Ora, a quiet town just an hour outside Lagos, that number jumps to over 45. Scientists have been studying this for decades, and nobody can fully explain it. The researchers point to complex genetics or maybe the local water, but the locals have a much simpler theory. The women eat a specific type of yam and something in it triggers multiple ovulations. The scientists say possibly. The women say definitely. And honestly, the women have been right about most things. This is Nigeria, a country where the impossible happens every single day, where the official system is broken, but 200 million people have figured out exactly how to thrive in the chaos. Forget the tourist traps. If you want to understand Nigeria, you have to understand the Jollof Wars. This isn't just rice, it's a foreign policy issue. It started in Senegal centuries ago, drifted across borders, picked up Scotch bonnets and palm oil along the way, and landed in Nigeria, where it immediately started arguments. Ghana uses jasmine rice, Nigeria uses parboiled long grain. Ghana claims theirs is elegant, Nigeria says theirs has authority. The rest of West Africa watches from the sidelines, exhausted, knowing theirs is better than both. But the real jollof, the one that actually matters, is party jollof. Cooked in a pot the size of a bathtub, over open firewood. The smoke gets into the rice. Something alchemical happens at the bottom, a crispy, caramelized layer the Nigerians call the bottom pot. People will skip the speeches, ignore the bride, go straight to the kitchen for it. Recipes are inherited, modified in secret, guarded like state secrets. Every family claims theirs is the original. Every auntie will tell you yours is wrong. It's a national sport, and everyone's winning. They argue about rice, but before the arguing starts, someone has to climb a tree. Before dawn, a man climbs a palm tree barefoot. No rope, no harness, just calluses and the memory of watching his father do the exact same thing. At the top, he makes an incision. A milky white sap bleeds into a gourd. This is palm wine. Imu in Yoruba, Nku in Igbo, older than any religion that arrived here by boat. Fresh, it tastes like coconut water with ambition, sweet, almost innocent. Wait a few hours, the yeast starts working. By the evening, it's gently alcoholic. By the next morning, it's a completely different drink. Wait another day, and it turns to vinegar. Palm wine doesn't wait for you. You drink it on its schedule. It shows up at every ceremony, weddings, funerals, naming ceremonies. A suitor cannot properly ask for a bride's hand without bringing it. Without palm wine, the elders don't consider the marriage real. And before anyone drinks, the elders tilt the cup, let the first drops fall to the earth. For the ancestors, the dead drink first, always. In 1952, a Nigerian author wrote an entire novel about a man so devoted to his palm wine tapper that when his tapper died, he followed him into the underworld to bring him back. The world's first recorded case of someone chasing a bartender into the afterlife. In France, wine is sophistication. In Nigeria, palm wine is ancestry in a cup. And if you're not pouring some on the ground first, you're not doing it right. Nigeria pours for the dead before the living, but the living, they have one rule that explains everything. In Nigeria, your left hand does not exist, at least in polite society. You do not wave with it, you do not point with it, and under no circumstances do you use it to hand someone money or pass a document. To offer something with your left hand isn't just rude, it's a direct, silent insult. Historically, the left hand was strictly reserved for bathroom hygiene, so using it to greet someone implies they are unclean or beneath your notice. If a tourist makes the mistake of handing a taxi driver his change with his left hand, the car goes dead silent. The driver won't yell. He'll just stare at you in the rearview mirror with a look of pure, freezing disgust. The social contract is broken. But what happens if your right hand is full of groceries and you need to pay the cashier? You perform a beautiful, unconscious physical adjustment. You extend your right arm anyway, then you place your left fingers gently under your own right elbow. It's a physical bracket. It adds weight and respect to the transaction. It says, I am giving you my full presence, even in the middle of a rush. In the West, respect is earned through distance. In Nigeria, respect is an active posture. You show respect on the sidewalk, but on the highway, the living have to make way for the big men. You're stuck in traffic. The heat is radiating off the asphalt. You haven't moved in 2 hours. Suddenly, the ambient noise of the street dies down. It's replaced by the blaring, aggressive wail of a siren. A convoy of blacked-out SUVs tears through the gridlock. These aren't just regular cars. They're usually armored, bulletproof Mercedes G-Wagons, bouncing over potholes that would swallow a normal sedan. A man is hanging out the window of the lead car. He is screaming, blowing a whistle. He is literally whipping the windshields of ordinary citizens with a belt to force them into the gutter. This is the big man passing. He is a politician, a general, or an oil executive. He is going to the exact same destination as you, just in air-conditioned leather. The siren isn't for emergencies. It's an audio billboard that screams, "My time is worth more than your life." And the most heartbreaking part? Watch the citizens. They don't get angry. They don't honk back. They pull over. They lower their eyes. They wait. Democracy is written in the Constitution, but on the highway, the convoy is the law. The politicians rule the roads, but the streets belong to the scavengers. In the 1800s, the British colonial government built Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison. They locked up nationalists, journalists, anyone who asked for independence. The walls were specifically designed to crush hope. The iron bars were thick, the cells were damp. The silence was meant to break the human spirit. Today, it's Freedom Park. The exact same cells where people were tortured are now an open-air beer garden. You can still see the old gallows, the exact wooden beams where the empire hanged its critics. Now, young couples take wedding photos in front of them, smiling in bright, colorful, traditional attire. You sit on the grass, drinking craft beer, listening to a live jazz band right next to the solitary confinement block. It is the ultimate Nigerian flex. You tried to break us in this exact spot, so we turned it into a place to get drunk on a Friday night. We didn't just defeat the empire, we made it our happy hour. They turned a prison into a party, but the real terror of the empire, that was a woman with a choir. Everyone talks about the famous musicians who fought the government, but the real terror of the state was a grandmother named Funmilayo. Funmilayo wasn't just a local protester. She was an absolute menace to the status quo. She was the first woman in Nigeria to drive a car. She didn't just break the rules, she ran over them. In 1949, the colonial government tried to unfairly tax the local women in the town of Abeokuta. Funmilayo didn't write a polite petition. She organized 10,000 women. They marched on the palace of the local king, who was enforcing the taxes. They didn't use guns. They used traditional songs. Insulting, graphic, devastatingly humiliating songs about the king's manhood and his failure to protect his people. They sat outside his palace for days, singing. The psychological pressure was immense. The king was so humiliated he abdicated. The British backed down. She even traveled to London to directly negotiate with colonial secretaries, staring down the empire on their own turf. She defeated the British Empire with a choir of angry grandmothers. The women fought the empire, but sometimes history just hands you a cheap plastic bag. You have seen this bag. It's that woven plaid plastic tote, usually red, white, and blue. It's the universal symbol of moving house, refugees, cheap travel. But do you know why it's called the Ghana Must Go bag? In 1983, the Nigerian government suddenly ordered over 2 million undocumented immigrants, mostly from neighboring Ghana, to leave the country immediately. They had days to pack their entire lives. They bought out the local markets of these cheap, durable, woven sacks. The bags were packed so tight the zippers screamed. Entire family histories crammed into woven plastic. The bags became the physical symbol of the deportation. Ghana must go. Today, high-fashion brands in Paris sell leather versions of this exact bag for $2,000. Because nothing says luxury quite like the woven plastic sack your grandfather used to flee a country. Nigeria took a geopolitical tragedy, turned it into a survival tool, and accidentally invented a global fashion staple. The living carry their lives in plaid bags, but once a year, the dead take over the streets. Once a year, the streets of Lagos are cleared, not by the police, by the dead. The Eyo Masquerade. Men disappear under flowing white sheets and wide-brimmed hats. They carry long wooden staffs. To a tourist, it looks like a parade. To a local, it's a sacred funeral rite. The men under those sheets, they aren't men anymore. They are gone, replaced entirely by the spirits of ancestors back to cleanse the city. There is one strict rule. Women and children must clear the path. If an Eyo catches a woman staring, it's considered a bad omen. The spirits do not negotiate with the living. When the Eyo walk, capitalism stops. Lagos, the commercial heartbeat of West Africa, shuts down completely for 24 hours. Shops close, traffic halts, billions of naira in commerce freeze because the ancestors demand the streets. Even the big men in their convoys pull over and turn off their engines. If an Eyo points its staff at you, you bow, you drop money, you do not argue. It is a terrifying, beautiful reminder. No matter how much money you make or how loud your generator is, the ancestors still own the pavement. The ancestors own the pavement, but the youth are just trying to survive the economy. Let's talk about the time Nigeria built the second largest film industry on Earth from a warehouse full of unsold plastic. 1992, the guy named Kenneth Nebu had a massive inventory of blank VHS tapes he couldn't sell. So, to clear the stock, he shot a movie to sell with the tapes. The movie was called Living in Bondage. Budget? $15,000. Shooting time? 2 weeks. Scripts were written during production. Sound quality was a rumor. Special effects were a suggestion. But the stories were real. Witchcraft, betrayal, family, money, the things Nigerians actually talk about at 2 a.m. The audience didn't care about the grainy film. They cared that someone was finally telling their stories. It sold hundreds of thousands of copies in weeks. Just like that, an industry was born from leftover inventory. Today, Nollywood produces roughly 2,500 movies a year, more than Hollywood. Hollywood needed a century, billions of dollars, and a California zip code. Nigeria needed a warehouse, a stack of deadweight tapes, and a guy who figured he might as well try. It wasn't just desperation, it was a triumph. Nigeria built an empire from nothing. So how do they not lose their minds when the system fails them? To understand how they survive, you have to understand the language. Nigeria has over 500 native tongues. If you speak one, your neighbor won't understand you. So the streets invented their own, Nigerian pidgin. It was born centuries ago on the coast. Rival tribes needed to trade without being tricked. Today, it's the operating system of the streets. It uses English words, but West African rhythm. And the ultimate pidgin phrase is, "We move."
We move.
Sometimes they say, "Ego better." It will get better. It sounds like blind optimism. It's not. It's a survival tactic. The currency loses half its value in a month. We move. The power grid collapses for the third time this week. We move. They have mastered a weird trick. They completely decouple their mood from their reality. They don't wait for the government to fix the road. They fill the pothole themselves. Then they charge the next car a toll. It's cynical, tragic, but also a superpower. Because if your momentum doesn't depend on the system working, the system can never truly defeat you. Nigeria doesn't work, but the people do. Every country has a story. I found it. If you like it, like and subscribe.